Coming up on tonight's broadcast, behind the scenes of the cricket media machine. It's an underarm, underhanded investigation right in the block hole. And we put Talkback hosts under the microscope, testing our top broadcasters in a catastrophic canine caper. New Zealand's cricketing history is littered with shocking on- and off-field shenanigans. Poorly designed uniforms, hair transplants, Shane Thompson, and more recently, a 5-0 and 2-0 whitewash against the Australians. But what about the people who publicise the disasters? How do they shape up? EML went to Eden Park to spend a day with the men who hide behind the microphones, cameras and pens. Cricket. The very mention of it calls to mind some truly great New Zealanders. Sir Richard Hadley.
On right through him, clean bowled.
Martin Crowe.
Slower ball, and his third Test century.
Peter Plumney Walker. It may not be our national game, but it's still the best justification for an all-cream ensemble. And there aren't many sports these days where you get to stop for tea. Rugby may have assumed historical importance with its Springbok tour, but in the same year, cricket had its underarm. It was our best ever excuse to moan about losing to the Aussies.
Disappointed, Brian, affecting the crowd, boo.
On the day I arrive at Eden Park, we're still losing to the Aussies.
On right through him.
And it's no less painful today than it was then, because these days the disaster is covered from every conceivable angle. This broadcast is going out to a fair few Kiwi cricket fans, as well as devotees all over the world, in places where cricket is a religion. Who are we broadcasting to today?
You never quite know, but we're certainly going to Australia, and we're going throughout Asia, and I think North America as well. That's an audience of just millions and millions of...
How many cameras do you have?
Working cameras, manned 12, 13. The day begins early, with much attention being paid to a strip of grass shaped like a fish finger. There's a bit of a toss, a bit of faffing about, and then everyone disappears for some quiet time. Meanwhile, I visit the brains trust of the broadcast. The comm box, with its all-seeing eyes on high, is a bit like the control tower at the airport, except they don't control the traffic. They just analyse it and explain what went wrong when there's a crash.
It's too short here on this pitch.
The commentators work in teams of two. And like these guys, they're selected on form and experience. Is there a ranking in the commentary box? I mean, for example, Martin Crowe had a solid average of over 40.
Yeah.
Therefore, is he more respected?
No, I'm the captain of the commentary team in this country, yeah. It's a longevity thing, really. I mean, I've had 13 years in it, so I'm it. I wouldn't say I'm the Richie Beno of New Zealand cricket, but I'm the closest thing we've got.
I think you're getting there.
Yeah, I'm the closest thing we've got.
Many of the game's greats have made the transition from playing to commentating, often bridging the gap with confidence-building TV commercials.
The best thing about having here again is that I'm back to being me. It's like going back 20 years, and it felt great. My family and friends, they were all really impressed, and that was endorsed when I first saw my lady again.
But do good players make good commentators? Chris, how are you finding the transition playing to commentary?
Yeah, it's different. It's a lot of pressure. I mean, you can't say shit or swear with the F word or anything like that. That's the hardest thing. Jason Gillespie just asking the groundspeople to provide them with a little bit of sawdust.
Is it quite tricky commentating your friends? It'd be quite hard to be critical of them.
Oh yeah, gotcha. And but it's constructive.
Old Handy and Smith no longer worries about ruffling feathers out in the middle.
We haven't got many friends in the team. I don't know if you know that. No, they hate us. I mean, Craig McMillan. Craig McMillan saw us.
He gets a lot of grief.
Yeah, well, we're crossing the road in front of his car. We're a target. Big time.
If Smithy & Co are a target for disgruntled players, reporter Richard Bock could well be the subject of a cricket fatwa.
Does it really matter what the players think? If the players don't get on with you, it wouldn't matter, would it?
No, in fact, it usually increases your value to your editor if you're not getting on with the team, because there is clearly then there's evidence that you're writing all the stories that come and the players are unhappy with you possibly because of that.
Do you want New Zealand to win?
I think it's interesting to write when the team loses. Certainly I never shed a tear when they lose. It makes my job more interesting.
124 for 2 at the end of 52 overs. Hamish Marshall is 55.
The radio commentary box looks like a lower socio-economic version of the TV one. Over here they do the same job, only without the fancy computer graphics, gimmicks and hissy fits of the TV show ponies.
One of the things that I was told when I first became a broadcaster was you're basically talking to your mates in the pub over a beer. And when I first started doing, I was basically commentating for my mother. Coming round from mid-on is Gillespie to do the fielding. One more to the total.
Hi there. Hello. How are you going?
Behind the commentary team stands an army of technical boffins with military-grade technology at their fingertips. Like FBI stiffs, they eavesdrop on the players via high-tech listening devices.
What's the worst thing that you've heard anyone say?
Morning calling someone a fucking arsey cunt. When there's no crowding, you can pick up a lot of stuff from the middle of the field.
Oh. Wild Wally, you shitter!
Exposed to such profanities, it's little wonder these people, like our cops, need the comforting winky of porn.
I'm here.
Very interesting.
Yes. I'm just keeping up with current affairs, really.
Yeah, no, good on you.
Watching the game that day, I was struck by a certain absence. Where was the romance, the tension, the excitement of the game I remembered from childhood? It seemed to me something was missing. But what was it? Crowds, patriotism, floppy hats, Sir Richard Hadley? Or something simpler, like full frontal nudity?
And Greg Chappell, he has stated in the past his intention of dealing with streakers. He's not happy with them. He'll have to take that fence and one.
What is the official policy on streakers and why don't we see them?
Well, I don't think it's an official policy. It's a policy that Channel 9 have had, and I absolutely agree. It disrupts the game, and I just don't show it. I think it is encouraging people.
Streakers or not, to some, cricket is about as interesting as the family health diaries, which may explain why even the players are desperate to add some excitement to their lives.
Yeah, no problem, mate.
And the media is only too willing to help.
And it's now been confirmed it was all over the filming of a sexual act in Christchurch.
Daryl Tuffy's milkshake encounter with a Christchurch woman was unorthodox.
The liaison was videotaped on a small digital camera.
But it was a gift on a plate for a scandal-hungry media.
Puts at risk the reputation of cricket, puts Daryl's own reputation at risk.
Is there ever stuff that you know about that you don't write about?
Possibly, yeah. There are things that I think you have to make judgment calls on yourself in terms of relevance.
So I'm Daryl Tuffy. I'm away in Zimbabwe. I invite you out for dinner. What do you say?
So sometimes you'd go, but I mean you'd still make it a very professional outing, and I'd refrain from getting tanked up or completely trolleyed with any of the players.
Just weeks after Tuffygate, the Sunday News reminded us that Shane Warne prefers filthy text messages to dairy products.
Every time he would come to South Africa, he would contact me.
Horny Warney first got in trouble a few years ago after his SMS foreplay with a Yapi chick went public.
It was quite disgusting, some of them.
But what do the players think?
Yeah, can I answer this?
I didn't really expect James Marshall to answer my question about whether he had received an appropriate text from Shane Warne.
I don't know how far I can go with all this stuff.
Thankfully, New Zealand cricket's go-to man was standing by.
Yeah, it made things a bit more relaxed for me.
Potentially, what's the worst scandal that could really ever happen with one of the players? Or possibly all of the players. I mean, like, accidentally some hookers find their way into the dressing room and there's a 10-way going on or something like that.
I don't, you know, we've been pretty...
That would be hard to sort out, wouldn't it? That's as bad as it gets.
Could be a tough situation.
I had no time to dwell on such issues. It was 3 o'clock and I had an appointment. Tea for two with one of New Zealand cricket's greatest luminaries.
Welcome along to the Dilmar Tea Party, the first in Auckland. Now today my guest, well...
I'd been invited onto the show because Jeremy Coney knows I love cricket. He knows I love to talk about it. He even knows my mum. But what Coney doesn't know is that it was his name that was ringing in my ears the day I lost my virginity on the couch at my parents' badge.
Well, Jeremy Coney has scored the third one of this innings. In the air and beautifully taken. What a magnificent catch by Jeremy Coney.
The playing mantis, as he was known then, was leading New Zealand to a famous victory against Australia. It was the summer of 85-86, and Stacey Johansson and I had decided to consummate our holiday romance. You know, it's always stayed with me, because Coney triumphantly struck the winning runs at the exact moment Stacey and I became one.
You also spent some of that time as a chicken.
To viewers, this was just more harmless tea-sponsored blather. But for me, a moment of truth.
Really?
It's very scary, actually.
Is it not rather nervous for you too?
Very scary.
It was a testing tea-time televisual tryst. I'd played and missed too many times, and I left the Dilmar Tea Party knowing that my dream of becoming a cricket commentator lay in tatters. In the end, I had to admit there was no place for me in this travelling circus of cricketing comrades. I'd become a statistic in New Zealand cricket's long history of disasters. If my day at the cricket was a test innings, then it ended exactly like this.
Oh, no!
Let him go. Stop.
No!
Oh, I don't believe that. He got a clue from the ball before, Lee Vincent. He got a clue as if to say, I was lucky that last ball with that line. I was lucky to leave it, get away with it.
Still to come, our most shocking undercover sting ever as we put our top talk professionals to the test in a catastrophic canine. Because the case is currently before the courts, we can't name names. But this story involves a Talkback host and a caller who was attacked by her own dog while she was on air. You'd expect the host to come to the woman's aid, but instead of calling the police, he simply hung up.
Canine terrorists are everywhere.
Auckland is awash in dangerous dogs. They can attack anyone, anywhere, anytime, anyway. And it's Ken Muir's job to keep them off the streets.
Ken, what should someone do if they're being attacked by a dog?
Well, the first thing is to stand still and not wave your arms around and not make loud noises.
Last October, this Wellington woman was attacked while making a call to a talkback station. The host, who we can't name for legal reasons, simply laughed and cut the woman off. She later died from her injuries.
So, has the media learnt its lesson? Tonight, we put the talk professionals to the test. Could they cope if one of their callers was attacked while on air? The results may surprise you.
Using a number of disguises and bogus names, I called a number of call-in shows. Then, using a stunt dog left over from Xena, I carried out my experiment, allowing the dog to attack me during the call. We began our experiment by calling the new current affairs sensation of the Sky Network, The Larry Williams Show. a quickfire intellectual interview show aimed at high achievers and retirees.
Jock, your question, please.
Yeah, g'day, Larry. Look, my question's for Deborah and the other woman. Look, now why, and it's a serious question, why are there no Maori pedophiles in our society?
All right, we've lost you there, Jock, but the question is, why no Maori pedophiles?
There are Maori pedophiles.
Williams showed almost no concern about our caller, and although Coddington at least showed some facial concern, she quickly moved on to her favourite subject, paedophilia.
There are Maori pedophiles.
The other woman just looked on. Next up, Christian Radio's own morning madhouse on Radio Rima.
Kevin, good morning.
G'day, Bob. How are you?
Oh, that's better.
Yeah, I'm on a landline now.
Okay.
Hey, look, really enjoying your show. Now, look, my mother, she's been on life support now for probably going on 9 years. And while it's a difficult time for all of us... Gee. Hey, hold on.
I will come back to Kevin in just a minute. Morgan says, Kathy, if you can just check on
Once
Kevin.
again, the host laughed while our caller suffered a sustained mauling. An offer to call back to check on him never happened.
If you see someone or hear someone being attacked by a dog, what should you do?
Well, probably call the police and call animal control.
Back to TV now, where veteran broadcaster Paul Holmes was padding out his low-budget show with a property talkback.
All right, Keith.
Hi there. Look, my question is regarding the fact that with the property market going through the... Get out!
Well, thank you very much, Keith. Hello, Marnie.
Holmes laughed while our caller was savagely disfigured. His guests laughed. And he laughed again. So what sort of injuries would our caller have suffered in that attack?
You'd probably have deep puncture wounds and maybe some lacerations. And depending on the size of the dog and what you're able to do to defend yourself, people often end up in hospital.
Surely Murray Deaker would be more sympathetic to our caller. After all, he's been through some pretty tough times himself.
Bryce of Auckland, your question, please.
Yeah, g'day, Murray. G'day, Huey. Look, love your shirt tonight, by the way, Murray. Very, very nice.
Thank you, sir.
Now, my question's for Huey. Look, obviously, around that goal-kicking position, who do you think would probably be the best person to take on that sort of role? I mean, obviously...
He's been attacked. He's been attacked. Who's the best person to take over the goal kicking?
Deaker was happy to take the compliment about his shirt.
Thank you, sir.
But left our caller for dead. Hugh McGann was no use at all.
Yeah.
We decided to head south of the Bombay Hills, where people are more caring. Southland TV seemed like the perfect test subject, and a panel show of health professionals would surely bring us a more positive result.
Right, we have a caller on the line. Are you there, Bruce?
Yeah, hi, how are you?
Good, thank you.
I've got a question. I have had, diagnosed as asbestosis about 4 or 5 years ago. What I really need to know about, excuse me, hold on, just get this dog away. Get out, no, get out, get out, get out, get out. Sorry, hold on, just 2 seconds. Get down. Sorry. And what I really needed to know was, if people are not going to diagnose, get down, get down.
Sorry, Bruce, if you can sort your dog out and perhaps come back to us there. Oh dear, how many PHOs are there around Southland?
While one panel member seemed concerned, the majority laughed. The host had no empathy with our caller, who would be in serious pain by the end of the ordeal. Finally, we come to News Talk ZB, where Danny Watson and vet John Potter have a weekly session offering pet advice. Surely Danny would be more sympathetic, what with the spot-on dog and all.
Radio vet John Potter's joining us. Good afternoon, John.
Hi, Danny.
Now we're going to open the lines 0800 80 1080 and take your calls. G'day, Les.
G'day, Danny. G'day, John. How are you?
Fine.
Look, now, I've got this dog. My father passed away recently, and he gave it to me. And it's a little bit aggressive. I've tried tying it up. I've tried feeding it and things like that, but it doesn't seem to want to cooperate with me at all. I don't know exactly what to do with it.
Did your father have problems, Les?
See, here we go. No, get out!
I can hear what the problem is.
Get out. Hold on, sorry. See something about the phone as well. Settle down. Settle down. Is it still? Do you have to get a permit to bury a dog in a pub?
Are you having me on, Les?
Are you there?
Hey, this is a lovely call, Les.
Are you there?
Hello. Are you there, Les?
Still to come, working for the man. A former dissident changes sides and joins the war against Asians. To the celebrity share market now, and a former spayed cat has been named as new Idol judge. Sally fails to flog one of her colourful paintings on Trade Me. The Woman's Day publish another Mike Hosking paparazzi shocker. Samuel's literally pissed his pants about the Maori party. And former dissident Bomber Bradbury is now working for the man as an undercover narc.
My name's Bomber. Look, we've been doing an investigation.
In the first instalment of his new sneaky camera show, Martin Bomber Bradbury helped dob in Asians involved in a fake marriage scam. In a shockingly strange coincidence, just a few years back, another man called Bomber was seen on TV promoting a fake marriage scam. Back then, the Bomber was advocating fake marriages as a way for students to scam the system.
If people can make money out of student allowances this way, they're not prepared to give us the money any other way. That's what we're going to have to do. Students are desperate.
Another TV highlight from the past week came from TV1's exceptional How Normal Are You show, which featured this sterlingly insightful gem from saucy psychologist Sarah Chatwin.
Stress is the buzzword of the millennium, isn't it? It's something that globally affects people.
Actually, can you play that again?
Stress is the buzzword of the millennium, isn't it? It's something that globally affects people.
Globally affects people. And that's our show. Coming up next week, an anthology of acrimonious outbursts, bloody biff, and shocking scuffles. From all of us here at Eating Media Lunch.
Now, I saw this John Campbell program on last night.
Yeah.
And I used to actually work as... you worked for the MOT back in the early 80s, mainly operating around the Kaimis.
Yeah.
And we'd actually find with a lot of Asian drivers in those days that
This is live.
Calm down.
Yeah, come on, sort it out. It's on the radio.